プレイステーション
Welcome to the land of long live play, where greatness is always waiting. Welcome to the PlayStation Experience. I'm your host, Delvin Cox, and with me, as always, is the Secretary of Spoil, the Platinum Princess herself, Miss Hayley Nicole Miller. How you doing, Hayley?
I'm good. Elon Musk is an idiot.
Well, yeah, that is very, very accurate. A lot of people are apparently idiots this week. This has been a weird, long week, to say the least. Filled with stupidity.
It's been filled with stupidity, and then I think like yesterday, Fallout Boy put out a cover of "We Didn't Start the Fire,"
Oh, yeah, that seems appropriate.
and then, well, not even just that. It's not like a cover of the original. It's "We Didn't Start the Fire," but instead of the events being from Billy Joel's birth until fucking 1989, it's 1989 to 2023. That song includes the line "World Tower, second plane, what else do I have to fucking say?" And then it cuts to the chorus. What do we fucking do?
It's just I don't even know how to describe it. I feel like we're at this point where we can make 1,000 songs about the things that's going today. Like, Marvin Gaye was going on. Somebody can remake that for modern times. Even though that's a timeless song, there's a lot of songs that kind of feel a lot more relevant today than they ever have. I'll just say that.
Oh, 100%. Anyways, if anyone's wondering why I'm calling Elon Musk an idiot, it's because
They know.
Delvin put out the post. Oh, I know, but Delvin put out the post to ask for questions, and then Elon Musk pulled his fucking bullshit. So
Yeah. Apparently, well, I think they fixed it now.
no, they did not. They did not. It is still happening on the mobile app. The only way to currently bypass it, and it doesn't even bypass it that well, is the desktop version of Twitter, which is also broken in other ways.
Yeah, it's a mess. As I put out the questions for Twitter on Twitter, like I usually do, and Twitter is essentially broken. Like, people can't see their tweets and can't respond to tweets. It's a freaking mess. And then Elon put out some thing trying to cover it up. But we're not going to talk about that today. I don't care. He's an idiot. Fuck him.
He's an idiot. Just like the people who got the fucking sub.
Yeah. Anyway. What you been playing, Hayley? How you doing?
Wild week. Yes, good. What have I been playing, watching, doing? Well, I've been working a lot, actually. Traveling a lot too. For work. I was in Stony Creek for a Walmart on Wednesday. I was supposed to be in Burlington on Friday, but that shift got rescheduled. So, ended up with a 5-day weekend because of Canada Day, and then
cool.
and then I'm off until Tuesday, where I'm gonna be late because the earliest bus to the in-town location doesn't run until 5 minutes before my shift starts. So,
that sucks.
I tried to get a coworker to switch with me for a shift that I can actually get a ride to. But I got no response from the coworkers, so
you can't
that's
Uber
fun.
Your way to the location?
Delvin, I have $3 to my name right now until I get paid.
Hayley, how much does the Uber cost to get there?
Even if you were to send me the money, Netflix would take it immediately. So don't.
Oh my
Uh,
god. Why would Netflix take it immediately?
because Netflix is supposed to come out today, and I have $3 to my name, so Netflix will not be able to come out today.
So just
Yeah,
cancel the Netflix so it doesn't come out.
that doesn't work.
Then you can
You know that,
resubscribe it.
right?
What do you mean it doesn't
No,
work?
no, it does. If you cancel the day of, Netflix will still charge you. That that's how they do it. Like they authorize the payment like a couple days in advance, so that if you cancel before your if you cancel within 5 days of your next charge date, Netflix will still charge you.
Then they have to give you your
Um,
money back.
that no, they don't. They give you the month that you paid for, and then they cancel your
Nah,
account.
fuck that. I'll tell them, nah, if I cancel, give me my money back. You gotta learn how to be assertive for certain things. Like, no, fuck you, give me my money. I don't want it. And they will give you your money back.
Uh-huh. Anyways, it's fine. I have a bus pass, so the bus isn't gonna cost me any money. And I told my boss I couldn't get there on time, so it's like he knows. He told me to contact the employee, but then the employee did not respond to me. And I'm not sure if it's because he has texting or not, because the coworker I tried to switch shifts with is like 82. So, uh,
Oh, there's that.
yeah.
You switch in with
Any
B. Montgomery Burns, I see.
Except he's not rich. This man delivers paint on the side on top of his job where he counts things with me. So,
Okay.
yeah. Anyways, what have I been watching? Well, I started watching Dead City, which is very good. Have you watched it yet?
I've watched the first 2 episodes.
Okay.
I enjoyed it so far.
Episode 3 comes out tonight. For you. I have it available. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. It's been very good. Um, they brought back Negan's jokes, so that's fun.
Yeah.
uh, he's joking around as he kind of just cuts a man from waist to throat, you know.
Hey, sometimes you gotta be funny when you're killing people.
Oh yeah, and then he
Deadpool
throws him
does it all
over
the
a
time.
railing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Deadpool does do that. Obviously, Superman and Lois, been watching season 3. Um, it did get renewed for season 4, which is good, because if it had gotten canceled on the way season 3 ended, I would have been pissed. Uh,
Yes.
you've seen it, right? Like
Absolutely
even
not.
if you haven't, no, you've seen photos, even if you haven't watched it, right?
Not at all.
Oh, okay. They finally did Doomsday, and they ended it halfway in the fight. So, uh,
That's a stupid
li-
ass way to end it.
literally, they're flying at each other, about to punch each other, and that's when it ends, right there. They're about to punch each other on the moon, and it literally, that's when it ends. That would have been an infuriating cliffhanger ending if it had gotten canceled. So that's cool.
Does it?
Uh,
I want to ask this question. I know Donnie's gonna kill me because
mhm.
he hates when we talk about TV show, and I usually want to glaze off it as quickly as possible. But I'm actually genuinely curious. Does Doomsday look like Doomsday?
Yes.
So,
Yes, and it's kind of like it's not Doomsday. It's they did the same thing that the movie did, kind of, except
oh God.
obviously instead of Zod. No. This is way better than what Man of Steel did. Instead of Zod, it's Bizarro Superman turned into Doomsday, and the only he doesn't look like the fucking CGI amalgamatic mess that he was in PBS. He literally looks like Doomsday. The only difference is that because they used Bizarro, he has the backwards S on his chest, and it's barely noticeable. But
All right,
he looks like Doomsday. He does not have heat vision or any of that other shit that Doomsday shouldn't have. He's literally just Doomsday, except because it was turned into Bizarro, the backwards S is on his chest. So
okay. I'm curious how he looks because
I'll send you a photo when
I'm
when we're done. It's
a quick Google real quick. I'm gonna see if I can see
okay.
it. Well, you can continue talking about everything else you
Yeah,
saw.
it's that was a pretty good thing. And then the only other thing I watched on a whim was the 2007 Transformers movie. And man, I forgot how cringe some of that dialogue is. Oh my god.
Well, that 2007 Transformer movie sucks.
The first one was all right at
No,
the
no,
time.
not really. Not really. Not at all. I,
What?
they're not good. I will say this: the newer ones are pretty decent. Bumblebee and Rise of the Beast are pretty decent, especially
I haven't
compared to the
seen
one.
Rise of the Beasts. I own Bumblebee. I haven't watched it.
Bumblebee's pretty good. It's an enjoyable movie.
Mhm. And then what I've been playing. I've been playing a lot. I finished Diablo 4 campaign. Obviously, you don't really finish a Diablo game because it's an ARPG. Campaign was pretty good.
Hold on.
Uh,
I'm not gonna let you just gloss over that because you just said that like everybody knows. What's the ARPG, Haley?
what do you mean?
What is the ARPG?
Asymmetric RPG?
You just assume everybody just knows what that is, and
It's
why you can't finish those?
well, no. You can't finish Diablo. You can
Yes.
finish other ARPGs. You can't finish Diablo because Diablo is always like, hey, we're adding new content all the time. And also, we have a seasons mode and a bunch of other shit. Like, you don't really finish Diablo.
Yes, there you go. Thank you for explaining it to people because you're like, hey, for those who don't know, you don't finish ARPGs. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Thank you for
Although,
clarifying that.
I mean, yeah, you can finish like Pillars of Eternity and stuff like that, but you can't finish Diablo because
Diablo's an
Diablo
ongoing
on
game.
on yeah. Um, I've kind of reached the point where like leveling slows to a crawl. So I'm like level 53, but because leveling slows to a crawl, you get more points per level. You get 4 instead of 1, but they're not skill points after level 50. They're called Paragon points, and they incrementally increase skills and stuff like that. It's good playing that slowly. Um, I've been replaying Spider-Man 2018 with the intent to finish both that and Miles Morales before Spider-Man 2 comes out, so the story is fresh. Um, I just finished Act 1, so spoilers for Spider-Man 2018, but I think I'm okay because it's been 5 years at this point. I finished Act 1, so Miles' dad is dead, so that's where I left off.
Oh, okay.
And then um I jumped back into Dying Light 2 because they updated the parkour and a bunch of other stuff. It appears my save file is still broken, so I don't know if I'll ever finish that. I literally ran into a situation where the game is like, hey, you can't fast travel. Oh, you want to get to the other district? Good luck.
Wow.
Uh,
That's bad.
sure is. Um, that bug's been apparently a thing since launch and still hasn't been fixed. So that's fun. They've been fixing everything else except that, apparently. Uh, I don't know. I didn't actually look or try to fast travel yesterday. I just tried out the new parkour system, which is essentially just, hey, we made the same parkour from Dying Light 1 with all of the new animations from Dying Light 2. And that it sure is. It's fun. They also updated the filter, so I can actually see in the game now. I don't have to worry about a freaking like hazy, muddy mess after a missile attack because that's a thing that happens in the game. I can actually see through the city now. I'll probably try to finish it. We'll see. Um, Also been playing Dead Cells. Yes, the last time I played Dead Cells was 2020. They brought out a PS5 version, like Thursday. I immediately have made way more progress in this version than I did in the PS4 version. Uh, I barely beat like one boss in the Um, in the PS4 version, uh, I have like 49 out of 116 trophies, so I have almost half the trophies already.
I was gonna
Uh,
ask you, did the update for that come out? The Castlevania update come out yet?
oh yeah, it's out. It's
Okay.
like 15 bucks. It's like 13. I think it's like $12 in the States. It's 13.49 here. So
Okay, and you get to play as a Castlevania character, get to play as Simon or something like that, or is it just
you don't play. I don't have the DLC yet because obviously again I have like $3 to my name until Wednesday. Um, but I have all the other DLC for it. No, the Castlevania DLC you still play as the character that you play as, like for all of Dead Cells. However, the Castlevania characters assist you while you fight enemies from Castlevania and explore Castlevania levels. So
okay? That's cool.
yeah, and you can unlock like Castlevania weapons and stuff and costumes and stuff like that. So yeah, it's out. If you want, like, if you intend to buy like a physical copy of the game, that's not out until August. But if you intend to just buy the DLC for Dead Cells, that's out and available to buy now.
Okay, that's cool.
Uh, yeah, I've put in like I think 10 hours since Thursday. It's very good. For those who are unaware, Dead Cells is another like roguelike game. Kind of like Hades, except think I think Dead Cells has half as much permanent upgrades that carry over to runs. Because really, what carries over runs with you are your like the runes you collect. Like there's a rune that lets you like smash floors and like go through them. There's a rune that lets you like run up walls or make vines grow, stuff like that. Those carry over between runs, and then there are upgrades you can buy that carry over between runs. But Hades has like way more stuff like weapons and other things that carry over. So uh, both very good. Um, Dead Cells is great. I beat the final boss actually for the first time on the PS5 version, and then obviously the goal of this is to beat it 5 more times in increasing difficulty.
What
So
for? What for the platinum?
no. There's no way I can platinum it because one of the achievements for the game here is to beat each of the 4 bosses that are in the main game flawlessly, so without getting hit. I'm not that good. There's
But
no way I
so why do you
can
have to beat
do
it
that.
5 more times?
What? So as you beat the boss, you unlock what's called a boss stem cell. Because like obviously throughout the game, you kill enemies, you're collecting cells to buy upgrades and stuff that like you can gain new weapons and stuff from. The boss stem cell changes like which enemies spawn in areas, how much cells you get, health and stuff like that. Um, increasing the difficulty but also allowing you to get more powerful weapon blueprints and stuff like that to do new runs with. So that's what you're getting. You're getting more weapons and costumes and things like that for doing that. Um, and some of that stuff will only drop while having a boss stem cell active. Um, so that's why you do it if you want all the upgrades and stuff. I don't intend to like 100% this game because again, to 100% it, you have to flawless every boss, and I am not that good.
Yeah,
Um,
that doesn't sound fun.
it is fun. Don't get me wrong. It's just sometimes you run into a situation where like, yeah, your run's over because you weren't prepared enough. So, but that's roguelikes in general, right? So, I'm having a blast with it, and then the only other thing I played is like maybe 30 minutes of Dead Island 2. Not because I'm not enjoying it, but because I intended to play it and then had to go out. So,
Okay,
uh, yeah.
who do you
So,
voodoo?
still enjoying. Who do you voodoo, bitch? How
What's that song?
how have you been doing since we last recorded? What have you been playing?
Busy but pretty good. As everybody knows now, we reviewed PSVG reviewed AEW Fight Forever. Still playing a little bit of that. I'm enjoying my time with that. You know, it's a solid wrestling game, even though it's a little missing some important key features and stuff like that. Go check out the review if you want to hear more about the game and get your opinion on it and stuff. But yeah, I enjoyed that. I'm playing that. Still playing Tears of the Kingdom. Pretty. I'm not pretty far in it, but I played a lot of it. I think I played over 50 hours of it. So that's good.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, you know, I've been playing a lot of it, even though people thought I was going to quit on it. But I haven't. I'm still very much into the game. It's really solid. I'm enjoying my time with it. I think Delvin Jr. is almost finished with it. I'm going to start probably doing all the, I guess they call them dungeons, so I can start wrapping it up. But overall, I'm enjoying the game. It's pretty fun. I'm having enjoying my time with it. You know, it's cool. That's mainly it. I've just been busy doing a whole bunch of other stuff. I have a whole bunch of stuff I have to do, so constantly
How was
busy.
your father? How was your Father's Day?
It was good. It was good. I went out, had fun. The kids did stuff for me. I got Diablo, but I have not played it yet.
Uh,
And I got a couple other things coming in. I'm going to probably play later. Like I haven't received it yet because they delayed it. But one of the gifts I was supposed to get was Final Fantasy 16, and for some reason Amazon delayed the package to like July 5th or something like that. Like, that's weird.
why?
I don't know. And then another thing I was supposed to get for Father's Day was before I got to review it, someone got me the Switch version of AEW Fight Forever. So so I'll have I'll have almost every version of the game now. Because I originally pre-ordered it on PS5.
Mm-hmm.
I have it on Steam because we reviewed it on Steam, of course, and now I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna have it on Switch. So that's cool because I enjoy the game enough. I don't mind that I have 3 copies of it. It's fine. But yeah, it's a fun, a dumb fun wrestling game that I kind of enjoy and I kind of dig. So yeah, that's it. All right,
Glad you're enjoying it. The review was very solid.
thank you. We did a good job on it. I think I want it to be a more regular thing for us to do reviews, but not too regular. Like, you know, maybe once a quarter, maybe once a month, depending on how we feel. It does, and the thing about it is, it doesn't have to be me only or Donnie only or Dev only. I think we probably can mix it up and get it. It just, man, it just kind of depends on what games it is and what we want to play and see who we can get in.
Yeah, and who would be most suited to do that? Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll
Yeah.
get into that more as we get more opportunities to review games. We're super happy. I know we're a Ubisoft partner now, so there's going to be some more opportunities coming up with that. But yeah, it's really cool seeing us spread our wings a little bit, even considering that how do I say this? I'll just say it. I'm gonna call a spade a spade. PSVG has kind of minimized, you know, because in terms of like we had a whole bunch of shows at one point. Now we kind of just have Boardwalk Video Games, this show, PSVG, and Nintendo Shack. So as it's still cool to see that as we've shrunken down in terms of shows, we're still putting out quality content and we're still getting the looks from companies to be able to review games and stuff like that. And I think I like the place that we're at in terms of PSVG. Like, you know, I like where this show's going. I like where Shaq and all the other shows are going. You know, so it's pretty dope.
Yeah. I mean, the opportunity to review AEW was pretty nice to see
Yeah,
you guys get. Um,
one of my most
obviously, I don't
anticipated
really.
games of the year.
Mhm. Obviously, I don't really get a chance to watch the show live anymore because I usually have to be up at like 4 o'clock the next morning. Um, so there are odd times where I get to watch it, but it hasn't been that way in a while because it's been a lot of early mornings. So, not that I'm complaining. I will take the hours. But seeing you guys post that, I was very happy to see that. Obviously, very happy that we're Ubisoft partners. A lot of us here love Ubisoft's content, so
Yes.
um, you know, it's good to see the opportunities come, right? And then there's been other times before where we We got other games as well, like Curse to Golf and other stuff like that. So it's cool to see the opportunities come in.
I agree. All right, let's get to some of these stories that we got. First up, Hayley, let me ask you this. Have you heard of and tried the Grimace Shake yet?
So I have heard of the Grimace Shake. It's not available in Canada.
Oh, that they don't allow drugs in Canada, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I've seen the TikTok trend as well. You don't need to explain it to me, but you might want to explain it for the
Okay.
audience who don't have.
For those who don't know, there's a TikTok trend going around because the Grimace Shake celebrating Grimace's birthday. I think he's like 52 years old. Before I even get to the trend, do you know what Grimace is?
He's supposed to be a taste bud, isn't he?
Yes, you're one of the few people who actually know that. He's a taste bud. What a weird fucking mascot.
I mean, all of McDonald's mascots are weird. You've got the fucking Nugget Buddies.
You got the homicidal clown, the Nugget Buddies.
Yeah, the fucking Hamburglar, like
the dude who steals burgers. Yeah,
and I forget what the bird girl is.
She's Birdie. She's just a bird who she represents the chicken nuggets, which is weird because she's eating chicken nuggets, but she's a chicken.
And she has the Nugget Buddies as well. Like,
yeah, that's kind of weird.
Yeah,
but yeah, there's this TikTok trend that's been going around where people. It's kind of like have you seen the movie like The Ring and stuff like that, where people will drink the Grimace Shake, and then in 24 hours they're dead, or something happens to them, and funny things. It's actually a pretty. I don't usually like TikTok. I'm not a TikTok person, but it's a pretty funny TikTok trend, and then people are getting very creative with it.
Oh, absolutely! Like, there's absolutely some creative stuff with this. I will say it's a lot of viral marketing for McDonald's for free. By the way, y'all should be cashing those checks.
Yes, it is. And so video games starting to get in on the fun. I think it started on June 27th when the Sonic Twitter account tweeted that Sonic had fallen victim to the Grimace Shake. And you see Sonic laying on the floor dead, which is funny. Then you have like Among Us, Street Fighter, and a multitude of other video games.
Just to interrupt, also, the day that happened, I have to point out that Delvin Jr. messaged me and said if I had a nickel for every time Sonic died, he's died twice this year.
Yeah, he's died twice this year. Second time Sonic died this year. But yeah, other video game companies got in on the fun, and McDonald's was a good sport with it. They were playing along with it. And yeah, you just see like Sonic, Street Fighter characters laying dead because they drunk the Grimace Shake. And it's pretty fun and pretty cool. And it's kind of cool to see video games just have fun with something.
It wasn't just video games, actually. I saw the Walking Dead Twitter account get in on it, too, and they're like, this is how the virus started.
It's cool because, considering how rough these last couple of weeks have been, it's kind of cool to just have something that's silly and fun. Did you try? Oh, yeah, you said it's not in Canada yet.
Yeah, so, no, I don't think it's coming to Canada at all. Not because of, like, any restrictions or anything. I don't think they're gonna do it here.
Canada hates Grimace.
Sure, Canada hates Grimace.
Like, what the fuck is that? Like, it's a taste bud. Like, get the fuck out of here with that shit.
The only non-standard flavor of shake that we seem to get here are the Shamrock shakes for
the worst one.
St. Patrick's Day. What? Excuse you, mint ice cream is very good.
It's not good. I tried the Shamrock shake when it came out. Like, this is not good.
I don't like the Shamrock shake. I just like mint chocolate chip ice cream.
The Shamrock shake is not good. I did not like it. Tastes like medicine.
Yeah, but again, I also don't really like McDonald's shakes. They're too thick.
I like thick. In my shakes.
I'm sure you do. I like how you just winked at me, but this is not a video show.
Well, you see it.
Nobody knew that.
You didn't have to point out the obvious joke. Thank you, Captain Obvious. I'm aware of that. But yeah, I can't say this. We tried the Grimace Shake this weekend. I don't know if this is true for every McDonald's, but you had to order like a specific meal to get the shake.
No, yeah, you can only get it with a meal. You can't order it separately. Yeah, that's true. I
Yes,
do know that. Because a bunch of the content creators are like, yeah, I had to buy a meal to get this. They wouldn't let me just buy it separately. I don't know what the deal with that
that
is,
is
but
weird.
yeah.
You have to buy like the
Yep.
Grimace meal to get it. And
Yep.
fortunately, all the Grimace meal is the 10-piece nuggets.
I mean, the 10-piece chicken nugget meal is pretty good though.
Yeah, my daughter wanted it, so we got that, and she tried it. It's a blueberry shake. That's all it is.
Actually, did you know? Um, apparently, if you drink it before you eat the fries, it tastes more vanilla-like. If you eat the fry, tastes. If you eat the fry first, then have a sip of it, it tastes more berry-like.
Oh, I did not know that. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
it's an interesting thing. Also to go with Grimace's birthday, did you see this one? They also released like a retro style Grimace video game where you're Grimace riding a skateboard collecting the Grimace shakes.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. You can like download it off of
Yeah,
Steam or something like that. Or you can.
I think it's
They
on Steam.
I think
I'm
it's
not.
free too.
It
There's,
is free. Yes,
so
it's
that's
a
pretty
free
cool.
game. It's like 20 minutes long. It's very interesting.
Well, Grimace is a legend, so that's kind of how that works.
Sure. Anyways, the point of the game is you're Grimace looking for like the Hamburglar Birdie and the Hamburglar Birdie. So
Okay,
because they're late to Grimace's birthday party, so you go searching for them.
okay, that sounds fun. Sounds like a fun little
So,
distraction.
oh yeah.
All right, let's get to our next story, our final story for the day, because it's a slow week, but that's fine. So, I don't know if people have been into world news as of lately. Lord knows why they would be. We have enough shit going on here. But France has been kind of dealing with several days of civil unrest and like riots and protests because a 17-year-old delivery driver was shot in Paris. So everything's going on crazy there. So they interviewed the French president Emmanuel Macron about kind of get a grasp of why these riots and stuff has happened because of this police shooting and stuff like that. And the French president had an interesting response to this. Now I want to get to his quote so I can kind of because I want to get your thoughts on it.
Mm-hmm.
He said he's trying to get to his quote exactly. I'm going to the whole quote because he says a lot.
Yeah, it's I've seen parts of it. It's standard Republican nonsense.
Yeah, let me.
Um, which obviously he's in France, so he's not like a Republican, but he's like a center right
What
candidate or something like that.
they have their own like versions of that in other countries.
Yeah, I mean every country has that.
Yes, that same type of dynamic.
Yeah, except ours are reversed here. The red party, or what you would call the Democrats here, uh, and then the blue party is what you would call the GOP in Canada, and then there's other parties as well, but the Orange Party, like you know,
Yeah, I get you. All right.
yeah.
Macron said that social media networks are playing a considerable role in fueling the ongoing unrest, and he pointed to both Snapchat and TikTok as examples. He laid out plans to work with tech companies to remove the most sensitive content shared, saying that he expects a spirit of responsibility from these platforms. And French police are reportedly looking to identities of those who post rallying cries to continue the protests across social media. Violence has devastating consequences, and we have zero tolerance for content that promotes or incites hatred or violent behavior on any part by Snapchat, a Snapchat social media person said, told Associated Press. We are proactively monitoring this type of content, and when we find it, we will remove it and take appropriate action. We do allow content that is factually reporting to the situation, though. Now that's one part of it. Now let me get to the part
Mm-hmm.
that concerns us. Okay, I'm trying to find exactly what he said. We sometimes this is the president of France. We sometimes have the feeling that some of them are living out in the streets the video games that have intoxicated them, he said. It's not, of course, the police brutality, it is the increase of housing and income inequity. He's essentially saying that to give people an idea what's going on, he's saying that TikTok, Snapchat, and as well as video games is causing people to become more violent and lashing out. And this is why the riots are
Oh,
happening.
this is why the riots have been happening, huh? And not you passing a bunch of bullshit fucking laws. Like, these riots haven't stopped. They've been going on for months. They only got worse after you shot a 17-year-old doing their fucking job.
Yeah, it's
Anyone unaware of what's been going on in France, Emmanuel Macron, like 6 months ago or something like that, passed an unfavorable law in the dead of night, um, raising the retirement age, which was immensely unpopular,
sounds familiar.
and led to riots, I might add, that have not stopped. Uh,
And this is video games'
and
fault. It's funny that this is video games' fault. It
yeah.
has to do with raising the retirement age. Fuck video games got to do with
Mm-hmm.
that. No,
Oh,
no 90-year-old person is playing video games.
I know, right? Yeah, this has been going on for months. It got worse this week when they shot the 17-year-old who was just doing their job.
Of course.
And like this shit is ridiculous. Like trying to blame it on video games or TikTok or Snapchat is obvious, like Republican fucking nonsense meant to distract from the real issue. And by the way, the reason he passed that unfavorable law is because he's not allowed to run again. Like once his term ends, he's done. He can't run again. Okay. So he's just passing whatever he can to get a golden parachute because that's usually how politics works. It's
see, this is the thing. I don't want to give him leeway because I think he's kind of like a piece of shit. I do think, and I was talking about it with somebody the other day. I won't mention them, but I do think that social media in general is turning out to be bad for people.
Because we've known that.
Yeah, because of how it kind of like gives unrealistic expectations. It promotes violence in different ways. It normalizes things that shouldn't be normalized. So yeah, so at some points I can agree with it, but you can say that about a lot of things that we do in society, whether it's the movies we watch, whether it's the entertainment we take in, whether it's simple things. It's the only thing the difference is to what degree it does it. You know, because before there was social media, before there was video games, there was music, there was movies, and I just find it weird that let's just make it about video games because video games, I think, is the outlier when it comes to these type of things. Why, when these politicians have these little rants about violence and stuff like that, they always try to go to video games? You don't ever say anything about the movies that they make billions of dollars off of. They always they used to now, but they'd always kind of go like, it's these video games these kids are playing. I feel like it's almost irresponsible to do that. Because
it's 100% irresponsible, but that's the point. They're doing it to distract. Yes. They know it's not the truth. It's the same thing that happens when fucking Ben Shapiro or Matt Walsh or any of those fucking idiots start tweeting out culture war nonsense. It's to distract the masses from what's going on. Which, for anyone not paying attention, is the rise of fascism in multiple parts of the world. Like,
I think, not like I said, I don't want to get too much into politics on this episode, because Lord knows there's a lot to talk about with that. But
there is. But yeah,
it's kind of weird that every time a tragedy happens, and it's not just in France, it happens everywhere.
Yeah.
They try to find a scapegoat, and sometimes that scapegoat is video games. And like even if video games have nothing to do with the conflict whatsoever. Like for example, video games have nothing to do with this conflict.
Yep.
You can make the argument if you want to make the argument that Snapchat and TikTok may have some influences on the riots because people are posting videos on Snapchat and TikTok of the things that are happening. They're posting their commentary and stuff like that. But what the fuck does nobody's making a video game talking about these riots right now and putting it out there. It's nothing that's video games are doing to influence the riots specifically. And I think it's just weird that these politicians constantly go to that. Especially, I think it's weird when a younger politician does this. Anyone who grew up in the video game generation probably should know better. I can see if it's like a 70, 60-year-old person, but somebody who grew up with video games their whole life and knows, like, oh, people don't take video unless it's a person who has a mental disorder. Most people,
even then,
yeah, and even in that case, it's an extreme case. like most people generally don't look at video games like that.
no. And again, it's like your point on them always finding a scapegoat. It's the same thing. Like, look at the stabbing that happened here in the University of Waterloo. Like, immediately trying to find a scapegoat. Like, that's a hate crime. And immediately they're trying to find a scapegoat and say, yeah, it's this or that. And it's like, no, the police came out and were like, this is a fucking hate crime. What are you talking about? Like,
yeah, our society is getting weird in general.
It is.
It's getting really weird.
It's all manufactured like culture war stuff, just meant to like keep people from recognizing what the real threat is, which is great as we're slowly encapsulated by a fucking climate crisis that's gonna kill us all.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but yes, it's sadly but true. All right, yeah, I think. Well, let's move on because we got a
yeah.
Bigger,
let's move on before we just get deep into politics.
Yeah, we got a. Let's talk about our main topic. I guess we're gonna talk about.
Oh yes, the FTC.
No, we're not getting into that whole thing. Fuck that. We did that already. If you want to hear a whole basic breakdown of the FTC thing, Donnie does a fantastic job on PSBG about it.
Donnie's done a bunch of.
He's done multiple episodes on it, talking about it, getting in great detail about it, into so much detail. It's driven me and Dev crazy. Like we just want the deal to go through at this point. Like, let's please just stop it. But Donnie's doing a fantastic job.
I don't want it to go through. At this point, I want it over. I want it done. I want it barred. I want it. I'm sorry. No.
Did you hear this week's episode?
I haven't had a chance yet. No.
Check it out.
But also,
it may. I won't say it'll change your opinion. It may make you have a different.
It will not change my opinion. I was in the courtroom hearings. I do not want this deal to go through.
It's a lot that was kind of.
You bought Bethesda on a rumor. Fuck off. You spent $8 billion on a rumor. Fuck off.
It's a lot, but let's get to what I want to talk about. Okay. Sony had released some information.
Oh, not just Sony. Did you see that Xbox had to come out and redact their own info too?
Yeah. Well, this is why I want to talk about this specifically.
Yeah, I know.
Because I don't understand how this happened. So
how do you do this in the first place and not go, should we use something stronger?
Yeah. One, let's just tell people what happened. So there was a hearing. Of course, the hearing's been going on. As part of the hearing, Sony supplied a document from Jim Ryan that includes redacted details on margins Sony shares with its publishers. Now, that sounds suitable. Okay, we have some redacted information, but we can share this document, but we're going to redact some things. Sounds suitable, correct?
Sure.
The problem is they redacted the information by just using a Sharpie.
Yep. They sure did. And then when they scanned that document to provide it for the court, of course, Sharpie is not a strong enough material to redact. So the scanner picked up what was underneath the Sharpie.
Yes. It's so many things that so many reasons why I'm like so confused by this. One, we live in the 21st century. We have computers. We have computer programs that literally do this for you. You can do this on the computer. Redact what you need to redact and put it out and send it. So why would they using a Sharpie? I'm baffled by this.
Like, it got so bad the court had to delete like evidence. Like, they had to delete like where they were hosting it. They had to pull it all down because so much info was not redacted. Xbox had a bunch of like acquisitions they had planned or like discussed, put out there, which is part of how we found out that they spent $8 billion on a rumor that Sony might have bought timed exclusivity for Starfield. Fuck right off.
I just find it interesting that a $1 billion company like Sony and Xbox for that matter, because you said Xbox did the same thing.
Oh, they did because like their deal came out, like their documents came out, and like later it was like, hey, this was meant to be redacted, and you can see the side by side difference, and like 3/4 of the document that went public was supposed to be redacted. So, just fun times.
I just find it fascinating that $1 billion companies like Sony and Microsoft don't have the wherewithal to just be like, hey, let's redact this the right way so it's actually redacted. It's just it's utterly baffling to me that this happened. I don't understand how this happened. Like it's amazing that companies that have so much invested, so much skin in the game with these type of properties and stuff like that, and it's so important that these things don't get out, and mistakes like this happen. I'm floored.
Yeah, I don't know. But again, like, I do want to reiterate this point. The deal will probably go through. I don't want it to go through because when a company can throw around that much money on a fucking rumor and then they go and do this, like, no. I'm sorry. No. It's going to happen, I think. I don't know. We'll see. This judge seems unpredictable, so maybe the FTC gets a PI. If the FTC gets a PI, I expect them to walk away from the deal because they have 16 days to close it. The close date of the deal is the 18th of July, 2023. And if they do not close by that date, they have to go back to the drawing board. And rather than doing that, I expect they'll just walk away from the deal and pay Activision the $3 billion. However, if they do not get the injunction, I expect them to close and then just go from there. But I don't know. I don't think we should be. Again, we should be rooting for neither company. I've been against consolidation the entire time, so this is not out of the blue for me to be against this thing. I will say some of the FTC's arguments are fucking stupid, so are the CMA's. And then this week, Canada stepped into the fucking mess and was like, yeah, we don't like it either. And then Xbox had to be like, yeah, but you had your chance to say no, and you didn't, so fuck off. Like,
it's a lot here. It's a lot to talk. Like I said, check out the PSVG episode to get more into detail with it. But Xbox, based off of what they're saying, essentially, from what I gather, Xbox is in pretty dire straits.
Mm-hmm.
And like this deal not going through might wreck Xbox, and that makes me feel bad.
I don't like. Don't get me wrong. I don't want Xbox out of the market. I like a lot of Xbox's content. Like we've said this. It's part of why, like, you, I, and Donnie reacted to the Xbox show because we're consistently the ones most excited for some of the content that Xbox is making. So don't take this as me being against Xbox or being like a Sony fangirl. No. We should not be rooting for either billion-dollar company here. Like, these are billion-dollar companies. They're not your friends, right?
Yeah, I get it.
Everybody likes Phil Spencer because he's the internet's like gaming dad or whatever. But he's still a CEO. He still works for the billion-dollar company. Don't root for the billion-dollar companies. Like I see people getting way too comfortable with this stuff, and it's like, no, This is still a company. Like their goal is to make money, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. However, when you've got things like them going around and being like, "Oh yeah, we bought Bethesda based off of a rumor." You spent $8 billion off a rumor. You
Yeah,
spent $8 billion off a rumor.
yeah, it was a
You
lot
just
because
have the money to do that.
if I remember correctly, it was the whole thing was the rumor was that Starfield was going to be console exclusive to PlayStation.
Yep, and that never happened, by the way.
Well, because they got
But
bought.
Xbox, well, no, that never happened because they walked away from talks about it.
Yeah.
Like, but then the Xbox bought them, and then of course you've got Pete Hines coming out and being like, "Oh yeah, I don't understand the difference between why we're doing this with Call of Duty, but all of a sudden all of our games are exclusive." Which, by the way, they can fuck off with that. We haven't decided if Elder Scrolls 6 will be on PlayStation. It won't. Come on now, just stop lying. It won't. We know that. Like, all of this shit is just, it's tiring. And yes, Nani does a very good job. But again, as to point out, don't redact your fucking info with a Sharpie.
Yes.
And also, you have, like, it came out that Xbox is sort of run as its own division. That's great. Xbox is run as its own division. Guess what? It's still part of Microsoft. They can still go to Microsoft and be like, "Hey, we need $200 billion. And Microsoft can go, "Okay, here you go." Obviously, they don't have that kind of liquid cash. Like, that's higher than Microsoft's operating thing. But the point is they have a much larger store of this kind of equity than Sony does. But it doesn't matter. You shouldn't be rooting for either of them. I've been against consolidation the entire time.
Yes, you have.
And, like, this is not out of the blue, but also, like, some of the shit that's said in this trial, man. Like, again, Xbox is playing itself as the dour, "Oh, we're in third place. We just can't make content without Call of Duty." Yes, you can. You make fantastic content now. What are you talking about? Like, you're playing yourself as... Sorry, go ahead.
I think you're right. They are playing themselves as this miserable victim and things like that. But I think Call of Duty plays a big market share into the money they make. But then again, I don't even know if that's even true because, from my understanding from the documents,
yeah, it came out that Xbox gets like 20% of COD purchase on their system,
which is insane.
Yeah. But again, part of this deal isn't just the COD thing. Like, yeah, that's what regulators are focusing on. But a huge part of this deal is Xbox getting into the mobile market,
yes,
which they get with all of King. But again, like, this shit, like, you're playing yourself as the third-rate little victim. You're not a victim. You're a multi-billion-dollar corporation who's made fantastic games in the past. And yeah, you've had some dire straits. Guess what? COVID happened. There was a global pandemic. Games have been delayed. Yeah, you're having an issue with Perfect Dark. Oh well. You've got other games coming down the pipeline. You don't need to own Call of Duty or Overwatch or any of that. You have studios. Like,
yeah. They definitely,
just to point out, Xbox currently has more studios than Sony does.
Yes. With Bethesda, they have a lot
more. On things.
Bethesda added a lot to the equation of Xbox, the family Xbox.
It did. And then they're going to throw all the Activision studios in there too if they own them. Like, you don't need to be making acquisitions like this. Like, I don't like exclusivity in general. And, like, the one thing I'll agree with Microsoft on is when Satya Nadella was like, "I would like to abolish exclusives in general." That's not going to happen, but I'd love to see it happen.
I will say this, and this is where I differ from you. I don't mind exclusives. It's not necessarily in terms of like in my mind, not I don't think everything should be exclusive, of course. But in my mind, I feel like exclusives give me a reason to own each box. You know, like as long as I know Nintendo is putting out Zelda and Mario, that's a reason for me to buy Nintendo. If I know PlayStation has Uncharted, The Last of Us, Horizon, that's a reason for me to buy PlayStation. If Xbox only has Halo and Gears of War stuff like that released by Xbox. If we all have one console, that's cool. But the problem with that is you don't have the innovation that we may have from a Nintendo, or you may not have the exclusive that we may have from PlayStation. We may not have the Game Pass function that we have on Xbox. I feel like each console brings something different to the table, and I think exclusives help with that. Now, on the flip side of that, I don't think exclusives are always good. I think exclusives to me work when they're made by the company, like Microsoft themselves make exclusive, or Nintendo makes it exclusive, or Xbox makes it exclusive. Where I have a problem with exclusive is when, like, what Sony's doing, when Sony just buys the exclusive.
Well, yeah. So I don't like that either. Don't get me wrong. I've also been against that, where you're buying timed exclusivity. Like Final Fantasy VII is still not on Xbox, but you can buy what is it? Crisis Core?
Yes,
The
Crisis Core
spin-off.
Rebirth.
You can buy that on Xbox, but you can't buy Final Fantasy VII Remake there. Like, I'm not a fan of that shit either. But sometimes it's not Sony making those deals; it's Square Enix. Like,
Yeah, they're definitely making those deals because they get money from Sony.
sure, but again, Square Enix is the one who can go, okay, but at a certain point we want to put this on Xbox, and they're not doing that.
Yeah, because they're getting a bag of money.
That's on, and sure, but again, there are to timed exclusivities. There are usually endpoints at which point they can go, okay, we're releasing it here now, and Sony can't do anything. Square Enix has not done that at all.
No, they haven't.
That's on Square Enix. Like, I'm tired of seeing, like, this is not being a Sony fangirl. This is just pointing out the obvious here. At this point, Final Fantasy VII not being on Xbox is on Square Enix, not Sony. Yeah, Sony played for the exclusivity first. That shit sucks. Like, let everybody play that, right? Then that exclusivity ran out and has been out, I might add, for almost a year and a half at this point, and it's still not on Xbox.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
that's at this point on Square Enix. But again, yeah, Sony going around and throwing money to buy timed exclusivity, also not great. But timed exclusivity is still better than going, oh, hey, fuck you, we just bought an entire publisher because you tried to make one game timed exclusive. Fuck off. No. Fuck right off. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that shit's stupid. You bought a publisher for $8 billion because you heard a rumor that they were buying timed exclusivity. That shit's stupid.
There's more details to that. Like I said,
there is. I'm oversimplifying it, but again, like, this shit is why, like, you shouldn't be rooting for any of them. They're all billion-dollar companies, and they're all making decisions to try and make money. Sure, but again, timed exclusivity is better than permanent exclusivity when a publisher has been publishing games on a platform for almost 15 years.
Yeah.
And then to go around and do that. Like,
the video game industry in general is weird. Like, and I think we may have talked about, I think we talked about on PSVG, how it's kind of weird that video games might be the only thing that does this, where you can put out a product, but it's only exclusive to one place. You know what I mean? Like, for example, like, hey, we have this cool game, but you can only play it if you have this box. Movies don't do that. Like, if you want to watch a movie, you can watch a movie any and everywhere you want to watch it at. Like, a lot of things, but video games specifically, it makes his bread and butter off of, hey, you can only play this product X here. I guess maybe streaming does it.
That streaming doesn't count because aside from, like, Netflix originals, you can usually buy those things on other streaming services if you wish to watch them. Like, aside from Netflix originals, you can go and buy The Boys on iTunes right now. Like, you can go buy Amazon's The Boys on iTunes right now. You can go buy Letterkenny on iTunes right now.
Let me add this caveat in for you. Wouldn't PC be iTunes in this case, or Steam?
No.
Because you can kind of buy most of the games.
So I am not discounting that you can buy most of these games on PC, but remember, PC is the niche audience. The average the average gamer is not spending the money on a PC because they want the convenience of being able to just plug and play. They're not like,
that is fair.
don't take this the wrong way, but the reason I know you have the Steam Deck is because you also don't really want to deal with it. But they're
You're
not the
correct.
kind of
I've
people
said that.
that are going to go and update their drivers to play Diablo 4, right? Like, they don't want to have to go and update multiple things on their computer to download a game and play it, right?
Yeah,
Like,
you're correct. And I said it before, like even when we did the review, I played the game on my Steam Deck. I didn't want to go on my computer and play all that stuff. I was like, nah, it's on my Steam. The Steam Deck for me is the perfect way for me to get into PC gaming.
yeah.
Because I just go buy it off of Steam and play it like a console.
Which again, like, I know exclusives are going to stay. I know they're not going to come like product everywhere unless Xbox exits the hardware space and just becomes a software company, which in the long term is probably their goal with Game Pass anyways. But at the moment, exclusives are here to stay. I understand that. I'm sure Satya Nadella understands that as well. But it's the one thing we agree on. But listening to this fucking court thing and all this money, and they're throwing around money on rumors and all this other shit, like, come on. What are we doing? Like,
It is a lot.
you are arguing over $70 billion. Sony doesn't have that kind of money. I don't even think Nintendo has that kind of money to just throw around. $70 billion? Like,
that's a lot.
Yeah. And the only reason Microsoft even has that money is because of their software. It's not based on hardware. It's like Microsoft Office and all this other stuff that they have. That's how they're making their money. And there's nothing wrong with them making money, but claiming that, oh, well, if Sony had bought them, Sony can't buy them. They don't have that kind of money. What are you talking about? There's no ifs, ands, or buts. We wouldn't be here if Sony tried to buy them because Sony doesn't have the cash to buy them.
Yeah.
Like, all this shit just infuriates me. Like, it's tiring to listen to these CEOs and all this other stuff argue over owning Call of Duty and all the other, like, I get it. Like, they want to own the other IP and maybe get some of that brought back. That's great. But you know what you could also do? Fund that stuff without owning the company.
Yeah.
Like,
it's interesting. It's really interesting.
It's frustrating. And all this stuff came to light because of redaction errors. Like, like, to bring it back to what we started this conversation with, all of this stuff mostly became public because they fucking failed to redact their documents properly. Both companies.
Yeah. Well, since you brought it up, I wanted to talk about something specific with the redaction errors. So, Horizon Forbidden West apparently cost $212 million over 5 years with 300 employees. Mm-hmm. And The Last of Us Part 2 cost $220 million with 200 employees. Mm-hmm. What do you think of those numbers and figures?
That makes sense, and I also know they're both profitable.
Yes. Those are made over movie budgets, to be clear.
Yeah.
That is crazy to think how far video games
less money than GTA 5 cost.
Yeah.
I want to point out, GTA 5 made $1 billion in 3 days. So
this kind of I bring this up because this kind of goes back to conversations we've had multiple times about the exorbitant price of video games, how they've gone up, but then again, the counter to that is video games are costing more money to make, but they're making more money than they've ever made.
Sure, they're making the price argument doesn't work. We know it's bullshit, but guess what? It's here to stay. Like, it's not going anywhere. And again, this is my point. Like, internet boycotts of video game don't work. I'm sorry, but they don't. Like, again, the most common example of this is the original Modern Warfare 2. There was a Steam group called Boycott It because there were no dedicated servers at launch. There are dedicated servers now, or were until it got shut down. I think it shut down. Don't quote me on that. The original Modern Warfare 2, like 2009 or 10 or whenever it came out, it's been a while. There was a Steam group dedicated to boycotting Modern Warfare 2. And on launch day, literally every person in that group playing Modern Warfare 2. Like,
Well, we have a recent example of this with Hogwarts Legacy.
yeah, we're not getting back into that. Sorry, we're
We,
bypassing that entirely. I'm so over the Hogwarts Legacy thing.
we don't have to get into it, but just saying that people were saying they would have boycotted and stuff like that, and it's one of the highest selling games. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah. But that's a whole, like, the Hogwarts Legacy thing is a whole other issue that we're not going to get into here.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about it when we did our review episode. We're not going to get back into that. We've said our piece on it, like, but no. Video game boycotts don't work because people can't put their money where their mouth is.
Exactly.
So,
people get too much into, they want to play the game. That's simply put. They want to play the game. Most people, usually when a boycott happens, a quote unquote boycott's supposed to happen, it doesn't reach the majority of the audience, and then people just don't care. They're like, no, I just want to play this game.
The only boycott I've seen work are when companies themselves essentially force their player base into it.
Yes.
Looking at you, Overwatch.
Yeah, that's kind of only way it really works. Because
that's their own fucking fault, though. Like, for anyone not aware of what's going on with Overwatch 2, Overwatch essentially promised, like, story content was, like, the whole reason they were discontinuing Overwatch 1 and starting development on Overwatch 2. And Overwatch 2 was going to have this whole, like, massive story campaign that was going to come later after launch. It was going to feature skill trees and stuff like that for heroes. All that shit got canceled.
Which I was excited for, by the way.
Who wasn't? Because most of Overwatch's story to this point had been delivered through animations outside the game and comics Blizzard posted, which, sure, that works, I guess, for some of your audience, but some of your audience just wants the story in your game, which, all right, the whole other conversation there. But that happened, that all got canceled, and then they were like, we're just going to focus on our PvP content, right? And then it came out, oh, we're going to still release PvE content, but now you have to pay for it. It's $15 a season for, like, 3 missions. And they're streamlined, and they're just the same PvE content you were getting in Overwatch 1, except now you have to pay for it. So that has caused a huge uproar with the Overwatch community and has led to a drastic decline in player base for Overwatch 2.
What has happened to that game? Overwatch in general. Overwatch was like one of the biggest games in the world at one point.
Yeah, it absolutely was.
And now I don't even hear people talk about it like that anymore.
Yeah, it's because they keep pulling this shit. They reduced team size for Overwatch 2 for no fucking reason. So they took it away a tank. So team composition is super limited now. You've essentially like changed the meta so only a couple characters are viable. You pulled the fucking PvE rug out from under people's feet. You got rid of like the loot boxes, which sure, loot boxes are their own discussion, but people at least were, if they had stuff in the loot boxes, were getting like currency they could save up and buy skins with. That was a whole issue. There's been a whole bunch of shit. Essentially, Overwatch 2 is Overwatch 1 with a new coat of paint and one less teammate. Like, that's it. Oh, and if you want PvE content, now you gotta pay for it. Like, what the fuck are you doing, Blizzard? Like, that's the kind of shit that's like, that causes a boycott from their own community. Like, that shit will cause a boycott, and that boycott will work. But it's not really effective because Overwatch 2 is free to play, and anybody who's boycotting it who bought anything, you still gave Blizzard your money, which that's a whole separate conversation. But like, you're causing your own community to not want to play your fucking game because you're pulling all this shit out from under the rug. Like, that is the only time I've ever seen boycotts, quote unquote, work, is when they're self-inflicted. Like,
yeah, pretty much.
Like, it's ridiculous. And like, yeah, The Last of Us 2, which we're not getting into the story or anything like that, but yeah, it costs that much money. That doesn't surprise me. Most Naughty Dog games cost that. I would not be surprised to know that. It's made over $300 million. Same with Horizon.
I would say probably way over that amount.
Oh, absolutely. Because remember, half those statistics either don't include digital or plus subscriptions or stuff like that, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, but is there anything else we got to talk about with this subject before we get to these questions?
Uh, yeah, you probably the latest you'll hear a decision for this court case is the 12th, but I assume you'll hear about it sometime this week.
Well,
Either way, like everybody's tired of it at this point. But no matter how this ends, you're never gonna stop hearing about it.
yeah. Well, if you want more information on it, I highly recommend checking out the episodes of PSVG that we talk about it. And I'm quite sure when the decision finally comes out about it, there'll be another 3-hour podcast talking about that. So we got a lot more content going into that. So with that being said, let's get into these questions.
Sure.
We got a few here, despite all the mess that happened on Twitter.
Well, most of them came from sources that were not Twitter. We have one question from Twitter this week because I guess the one reply we got hadn't been rate limit exceeded yet.
Yes. Also, I guess I'll say this now. I have a Blue Sky account.
I do as well.
So if Twitter does go down, you can follow me on Blue Sky at Delvin Cox. Just Google my name.
I am Hayley Zarel on Blue Sky as well.
So you can just follow me there, and I'll post the questions and stuff there. If Twitter when Twitter finally just collapses and dies, like it's probably gonna do.
I mean, again, not to go too deep into that, but the funniest fucking part of that is he caused the site to DDoS itself. Because I don't know if you know, but you used to be able to view stuff on Twitter without being logged in. Well, yes. Mr. Genius over there changed that, so now you need an account. So any site that had embedded tweets was consistently trying to fetch the tweet data from Twitter, which was causing the site to kick back, and it kept trying. And then Elon did the whole, hey, you can't view this, and also tried to limit users, and the site just feedback looped itself into DDoSing itself.
God damn, he's dumb.
He's a special individual.
All right, well, let's get to these questions. Our first question is from Coach Mo. Coach says, should I get Final Fantasy 16 because I love the demo, or wait because it's almost Madden season?
It's a tough question because I don't actually know when the Madden video game season starts.
Like August. I will say this, Mo. I haven't put, my son loves the demo. He has Final Fantasy 16. He loves it. I would probably say for you, just wait because Madden season's coming up and you're gonna be playing that. You probably can wait, play Madden, and then end up getting Final Fantasy 16 at a discount. Probably like by the time you get ready to play it, it'll probably be $30. So just wait. That's my suggestion.
Yeah. Obviously I haven't played Final Fantasy 16 or the demo, but like everybody seems to be enjoying it.
People say it's really good.
So yeah. I do agree though, because I know how big into Madden you are, and I also know how limited time you have to play video games. Just wait.
Just wait. It'll be on sale. By the time you get to it, it'll probably be Black Friday weekend. You can probably get it for real cheap then. So just wait. It'll be there. And plus, it's a long game. That's what I thought about it. I think it's a pretty
like
long
40
game.
40 or 50 hours.
So, because I don't think you'd be finished with it by the time Madden season came. So just wait. Play it. Then play Madden as much as you want to play it. Then once you have time to play Final Fantasy, it'll be right there for you. That's the beautiful thing about video games. They'll always be there for you. All right. Our next question is from Pastor Lucas Ham Swisher. He said, since some people live off video games like food, if each console was a type of food, what would they be? He says, I think Xbox Series whatever would be a family-size original Lay's. Nintendo Switch would be a birthday cake, and PlayStation would be a New York strip steak. You can come up with your own answers and reasons why mine are good or bad takes. Have fun.
Wow, you can tell where Lucas Ham Swisher's biases lie.
That was fantastic. He called Xbox Series whatever a bag of Lay's. That's cold as ice.
I mean, let's be real. I haven't turned my Xbox on in like 3 months.
Okay, let me try to think what I think that'd be. This is, I think, Xbox would. I'm trying to think. I think Nintendo as birthday cake is perfect. Fun,
Sure.
kids love it, but adults can enjoy it too. Yeah, I think that works for Nintendo. Birthday cake or ice cream. Xbox probably would be nachos. Feel like nachos work for Xbox. And I'll tell you
Sure.
what, I think nachos work for Xbox because nachos almost goes well with anything. You can Xbox is very diverse in terms of like, hey, you want Game Pass here? You can get Game Pass here. You can get Game Pass there. You can get Game Pass everywhere. We will work with anybody. And then nachos is kind of like that. Like you can have nachos at a football game. You can go to a fancy restaurant. For some reason they have nacho chips there. I think Xbox would be nachos. Because nacho, like I said, everybody loves nachos. Nachos goes in anything, but it's low. Nachos are low key good. People don't talk about how good nachos is enough, and I think Xbox is kind of low key great. PlayStation, I guess steak kind of does fit PlayStation. I kind of do think steak fits it because I think when when a steak is good, a steak is great. A great steak is just amazing experience that you just would love and you cherish and you want more of. But when you get a bad steak, it's the worst thing you could possibly have, like a bad dried out steak.
Okay, where the fuck are you getting a bad dried out steak if you're going to a restaurant? I have
Plenty
to
of
ask.
places. Plenty of places, especially in places that like especially if you go to a place and they're like, anytime, and we've had this conversation on PSVG. Anytime when you say you want a steak medium rare, they look at you like you're funny, like something wrong. That steak probably not going to be good. I've had bad steaks.
I don't think I've ever ordered steak from a restaurant because most people know I buy steak and cook it myself.
Yeah, because you're poor.
Thanks, sir. No, I mean,
we have well established that you're broke on this podcast. Miss, I only have $3.
Okay, hold on. I'm not broke. I just spend all of my money efficiently. And then you again, like I'm not broke. I just use all of my money because it's my money, and I work enough to make it worthwhile. So
yes.
I end up buying like steak like once a week and spending like 45 bucks on 4 steaks to do 2 meals of it. Like,
so you never had a steak at a restaurant?
No.
Not one time you've been on a date or anything like that where you'd have a steak?
I've never been on a date, sir.
Jesus, Hayley. That's a whole nother conversation.
I've never been on a date, sir.
Hayley, what's your answers? We're not going there. What are your answers, Hayley?
I'm gonna say Nintendo's birthday cake works. Like, it's not for everybody, but it's for enough people, right? I'm gonna say Xbox is a bag of popcorn.
Why popcorn?
Because popcorn is tasty, and also like you can do a lot with it.
Okay, that's good. That works too. Yeah.
And I am gonna say that PlayStation is like chicken wings.
Okay, well, chicken wings.
Because you can also do a lot with it. But they usually like if you're buying them pre-bagged or whatnot, they usually come in distinct flavors.
Okay, that's a great question. All right, our next question is from Shinjin45. He asked, if you played as a necromancer and your skeleton army played, oh, hold on, why did it cut off? Skeleton army played metal, what would the band name in Diablo 4 be? My skeleton bone metal band would be Bones and Blood, since I use a blood necromancer. All right, so we got to come up with a
I'm
metal
just gonna
band
call
name.
them the Boneheads.
It's not bad. It's not bad. The Boneheads.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got to come up with if I'm playing as a necromancer and my skeleton army. Delvin and the Bonies.
Nice.
Yes. It's bony time, baby. Time to bone. All right. Smoking Joe asked a question that only Hayley can answer because I have not played it yet. What score would you give Diablo 4 if you did the review? So, Hayley, here's your chance to shine. What score would you give Diablo 4? Let me add in this caveat. You have to use a PSVG scale. PSVG scale is 1 to 5 stars. We don't do that half bullshit.
I give it a 4 out of 5.
Okay. Good answer.
It's got some balancing issues that definitely need to be addressed. Like some of the classes feel really weak late game. So like I had to redo my entire build. Like I played the entire game as like a sorcerer, built mainly on fire skills up until like level 43, and I had to redo my entire build to beat the final boss. Like I should not have to do that.
Okay.
Like all of your like there should not only be one viable build for each class. Like you definitely need to fix that. And to Blizzard's credit, they have been like fixing these as they go. Some of this stuff takes more than just a hot fix, which is what they've been patching the game with now. Obviously there were connection issues on like launch, so which happens for a live service game. There are still the occasional connection issue now, which sometimes results in losing hardcore characters. Which, for anyone who's unfamiliar, if you play a hardcore character in Diablo, if you die, you have to start over. Which that's standard for most hardcore modes for like ARPGs or like I want to say XCOM. I know it's not the case in Marvel's Midnight Suns, but like hardcore mode in like XCOM, if you die, like that's it, you start over, right?
Correct.
But like that stuff needs to be fixed, which again they're working on, and some of this stuff has been unavoidable. Like Blizzard was DDoS attacked multiple times over the last week. Like someone was just being a dick to to for no fucking reason. Like they were DDoSing multiple Activision servers. Like to the point where it's the first time I've ever seen a company like directly put up in their own game, like, hey, we are currently being DDoS attacked. Like we are sorry. We're working on connection issues. You may experience intermittent latency or anything else. I've never seen a company like directly put in their own game a message about them being DDoS attacked. So that was interesting. But like a balancing definitely needs to be worked on. Again, this is the case with most ARPGs that do seasons. You definitely have like seasonal characters. Like you don't roll your story character on a season. But of course, you've got people getting upset about that now. So they'll have to deal with some community outlets. But like overall, the game is good. The story's good. Voice acting's very good. I don't know. I'd give it a 4 out of 5. There's some stuff that can be worked on, but it's pretty good.
Okay. Good. That's a good review. All right. Our final two questions is from my son, the new podcaster, Delvin Jr. He has a podcast. Let me. I want to get the name right, and I'm gonna put
It's
the.
it's Ren. Uh, I'm blanking. Sorry.
I'm gonna get. Ren talks whatever. He just created a new podcast. You can look it up on Spotify. You can find it and listen to it there. And I'll put the episode in the show notes so people can click on it if they want to check it out. I am on episode 3, so you can definitely check that out. We talk about a lot of stuff that he wants to talk about. So he asked 2 questions, and I'd appreciate if you guys can kind of maybe message him some questions, some advice or things like that. So here's his first question. This is a more personal question, but what are some podcast tips from veterans like yourselves? So Hayley, I'll let you go first. What tips do you have for podcasting for young Delvin?
Okay. So, uh, he knows this, so this is not like a slant on him. I haven't had a chance to listen to his podcast yet. But also, as I was trying to say earlier, my podcast queue is currently, give me a sec, I think 54 episodes deep. So, I, as people know, I listen to podcasts at work, except most of my shifts over the past 2 weeks have been with a supervisor who has requested that we not wear headphones at work. So that supervisor specifically, I can't listen to podcasts at work, and so all of my podcasts have built up. Uh, so I'll get to it. But tips for the young Delvin Jr. on the podcast. Well, first one is to be yourself. Don't be afraid to be unapologetically you. Um, like you don't need to build a character or something like that unless you're doing a serialized podcast where you're like crafting a story, right? Which based on the title of his podcast, that's not what he's doing, right? So just be yourself. Don't be afraid to record multiple takes if you have to, because I'm assuming besides you being the guest on one of the episodes, that he's doing this by himself, right? Like he's just
That is correct.
okay. So because this is a solo podcast, like don't be afraid to re-record your episodes if you're not liking how it feels, or if you just want to start over to be more concise. Don't be afraid to do that. Like you have the power to do that. Like you're not relying on someone having the time to record with you or anything like that. And also talk about what engages you. like like an audience will find you if they like put the content out that you like to listen to or like to watch or anything that you're making, right? Like make sure it's content that you enjoy producing, because you are the product, right? So people are going to find your podcast, and if they enjoy it, they're going to stick with it. But sometimes no matter how hard you try, there are going to be people who don't vibe with you. Don't try and change your podcast or your videos or anything you make to fit those people, because just sometimes there are people who are not going to vibe with how you as a content creator are.
Correct.
Like that's inevitable. It's the same thing with like trying to make friends. There are always going to be people who do not like you. No, like you haven't done anything wrong to them. It's just you and that person do not vibe. Like that happens in real life too. That's gonna happen in content creation. So don't try and fit those people. Make content that you enjoy. And lastly, have fun, man. Like that's if you're not having fun producing the content, odds are an audience would not have fun listening to it.
Very true. Good advice. All right. First things first, I would say make sure your audio quality is on point, because no one wants to hear a podcast
Yes.
with terrible audio quality. Make sure it's at least decent so people can hear what you're saying and you're concise. Take your time to talk, be concise with your points and things like that. Right? Since you're doing a podcast by yourself, write notes so you can stay on
Yes.
topic of what you're talking about. See, it's a lot easier to do a podcast with someone else like Hayley or myself. We have notes from this show, for example. We have notes from
Yep.
this show. So that's why I say notes are important. But it's a lot easier to do a show with 2 people, because you can bounce ideas off each other. You can conversate and make it more of a conversation. But when you're doing a show by yourself, it's very important to write notes so you can keep track of what you want to say, how you want to say it, and who you want to say it to. When you don't have your note, that's how you mess up and things like that.
That's how you end up with a lot of dead air as well,
Yes,
which is the number one audience killer for podcasts is dead air.
yes. three, three, just like Hayley said, watch out for dead air. Be concise with what you're saying, and just be aware. Try to make your point out to the audience you're trying to talk to. If you're trying to talk to people like yourself, you're trying to make a conversation on a podcast, have a conversation with yourself. Have a conversation. Make it engaging. Have fun with it. You're not going to get it right the first or second time or the third time. It takes time to get into that podcast groove. But don't stop. If it's something you love and it's something that you want to keep doing, don't stop. Keep going. Don't be afraid to ask questions on how to get better and where you can improve at. I think that's important. And last, but certainly not least, like Hayley said, have fun. But also, going back to what Hayley said, you're putting yourself out there when you have a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about podcasts is, once you start getting an audience, you will quickly realize you're not talking into a vacuum. You're talking to other people that can hear your comments and your conversation. Be aware of that. And why I say that is because eventually when you get that audience, people are going to talk back.
Yep.
And sometimes it's going to be good conversation. Sometimes it's going to be stuff that you may not want to hear. So you're going to have to mentally prepare yourself for that. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Because sometimes you're going to get great comments that's going to make you want to keep going, and sometimes you're going to get awful comments. But the point is if it's something you want to do, you power through it, you fix what you can fix about your podcast, make it better, and you just keep going because it's something that you love to do. But don't let the bad comments get to you too much. It's a podcast. You're not making any money off of it now. It's something that you're primarily doing for fun. So just enjoy yourself. And if anybody else has some comments for Delvin, just, I guess, send them my way. I think on his podcast, he has like a question section.
Mm-hmm. You can also send them my way because he and I message all the time.
There you go.
Primarily through PlayStation. He'll like send me stuff. Like that's how he gave us questions for the show today was through PlayStation Network. He just sent them. I told him to give them to you, but instead he messaged them to me. So.
Well, there you go. Even better. If you have questions for Delvin and his podcast, send them to Hayley and Hayley will send them to him. Even better. Perfect. All right. His final question. I think it's a good question.
It is.
If an X-Men RPG happened one day, who would be in your party of four? One, X-Men RPG happened several times. X-Men is Legend, the X-Men Legend 2 is definitely a thing. Mm-hmm. So I think you're referring to a modern version of that.
Yeah, I think he is. I think he's also referring to using like the Dragon Age style like companion system.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So I'll let you go first, Hayley. Who would your party of four be?
Kitty Pryde. Wolverine.
Okay.
But X-23 Wolverine.
Okay.
Logan's great, don't get me wrong, but Laura Kinney deserves her time to shine.
Okay.
So X-23 Wolverine. We're gonna go with Rogue.
Okay.
And this is cheating, but we're gonna throw Magneto in there.
That's not cheating. He's been part of the X-Men sometimes.
He has been, but also it's really because I just want to say fuck Xavier. Fuck that guy. Fuck all Professor X. Like he's a dickhead.
I wouldn't pick Professor X.
Magneto.
What did you say?
So Magneto.
Absolutely not. Magneto did nothing wrong. My mother, everybody.
Yes, I will say this. I wouldn't pick Professor X.
She's still going. She's still going.
Yes. Because usually in video games, his character is not really that strong. Like when you play him, it's hard to get his powers in video games to work well.
Yeah.
Same with Jean Grey usually.
It's this like I think it's a cop out, but it's kind of the same thing when people are like, you can't make a good Superman game because he's too powerful. Jean Grey is that kind of powerful.
Yeah.
Superman, you can definitely make a game around, but Jean Grey, I don't think you can make a game around Jean Grey. She's way more powerful than Superman.
Yes, and usually when they put her in video games, they underpower her too much. Like, there's the fourth chair.
Yeah.
Love it.
I tried to mute in time, everybody, but that did not work.
Nah, that's fine. We love your mom. All right, so let me pick my 4. Wolverine. Specifically, I'll pick Old Man Logan. So I'll use the Old Man Logan.
Okay.
Skin. Gambit. Because I love Gambit.
Good choice.
Storm. I think Storm's dope.
Okay.
So I'd probably pick Storm. One more. This is where it gets tricky. Because this is kind of my X-Men Legends lineup almost. Either Nightcrawler or Cable. I'll go Nightcrawler.
Probably the better choice, to be honest.
Yes, I like Nightcrawler a lot. So those are my 4.
As long as he doesn't look like he did next to.
Yeah, that was. Those movies don't hold up well, by the way.
They do not. No, I know. Also, they're like really homoerotic for some reason.
Yes, they are.
Like Iceman asking Wolverine, like Iceman freezing Wolverine's beer and then blowing a kiss on it and handing it to Logan. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's kind of if you know the comics, that's kind of apropos for Iceman.
I mean, yes, we know Iceman is gay. We don't need to. We don't like. Absolutely, but also, and also that was like that was known at the time when X2 came out. Like that's not like a big shock or anything. But like, why? Why did you have to be like so homoerotic about that? Like
Hugh Jackman was a sexy man. That's what it was like.
Sure.
Yeah.
But also the tension between Logan and fucking Scott and like y'all know what you're doing. Like
yeah, like do you really want Jean or you want each other?
Yeah, exactly. The original X-Men movies are certainly a wild bunch. Let's not even get started on the fucking bullshit Cure storyline from the third one.
Everyone gets mad at X-Men's First Class. And you know why? Because the whole thing.
No, that is deserved rage.
Yes, it is.
His power is to fucking adapt to anything. He literally tried to fight the Hulk, and his powers were like, no, bitch, and teleported him to another planet. Yeah. Like you bring a mutant into your movie whose power is to adapt to any circumstance, so nothing should be able to beat him. Then you kill him off by having something. Blast from fucking
Yes, it's bad. It's bad.
It is absolutely bad.
All right, let's move on. I guess that's it for the show. In typical PSXP fashion, we talk about something that no one cares about. X-Men First Class. Anything you want to say before we go, Hayley?
Yeah. The Supreme Court sucks.
PlayStation